Okay.
You're listening to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge.
Hello and welcome to eLearnChat, our new podcast featuring prominent leaders, shakers and movers in the e-learning and training industry.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is, what is it? April 11th, a little after 8 o'clock. Welcome to eLearnChat. I'm Rick Zanotti, and next to me, right over here in almost the same studio, is Coline Sunley. Hey, Coline, how are you?
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I am really good, and we are ready. We're going to have a good show today.
We're excited. We have the lovely Allison Michels joining us from Yammer today. And for those of you who don't know what Yammer is a private secure social network for commercial use, and Allison is responsible for customer training programs with the customer success team at Yammer. So let's welcome Allison today.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm so excited to be on the show. Thanks for the great introduction. So, yeah.
Yes, how you doing? How did you wind up in Yammer?
Oh, crazy story about that. I'm actually a previous Yammer customer, and actually rolled out Yammer to the organization I was with before I joined Yammer, and it didn't go so well, and some things had happened, and we actually had to shift ways and things like that. And so about 3 months after we called it the death of Yammer in the organization, I wrote a blog post, and it was a Saturday night. I know, really cool and awesome on a Saturday night. I wrote a blog post, and within minutes of tweeting it, the CEO of Yammer had actually read the blog post and had tweeted back and forth with me and actually offered me to work for Yammer and to kind of learn from the mistakes that we had done at my organization to help other organizations adopt and really embrace social tools like Yammer in their organization. So that was actually almost about a year ago, and I'm really excited. I have my 1 year Yammerversity or Yammer anniversary in April 25th. So really excited about that. So
that's really good. What a way to get a job.
Yeah, definitely wasn't looking, was pretty happy at my last company, but have just really enjoyed the ride for this past year. Learned a lot and really excited about what we're doing. So
now,
yeah.
I didn't know a lot about Yammer until really just recently, and it's kind of like a Twitter for an internal network, right?
It's a little bit more similar to Facebook, the look and feel.
Okay.
But yeah, looks and feels a lot like Facebook, and definitely have done that on purpose because a lot of people are just very used to Facebook. And then also, too, we have Facebook in our DNA. Sean Parker is on our board. We have Peter Thiel on our board, and a couple of our investors are also very heavily invested in Facebook as well. So we have a lot of not inbreeding, but kind of mix and overlap with that as well. And Facebook does usability very, very well, and so we take a lot of cues from them. So,
in fact, we have a little video. Let me play this video of your CEO. Here we go.
Oh, this isn't our CEO. This is one of our customers' CEOs.
Oh, it's one of the customers. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Yammer has made my life easier, but what it's really done is it's made my life as a CEO better. Better because I'm able to listen and converse with all of our associates, real time, all the time. I can do something as simple as on a Saturday afternoon, spend a couple of hours going through the company feed, which is where you get to see everything. And I can hit the like button, or if I really like something, I can actually post a reply and say, good work, this is great. So for me as a CEO, there are several layers of management between me and a store director. But today, I will be on Yammer this afternoon. I will be on Yammer tonight, and I will see what store directors are saying to each other. I will see what department managers are saying, and I will see what the conversations are. Unfiltered, unvetted. That's already happening. So you asked me the question, what do I want Yammer to be? It's being that. today at SuperValue.
That's a pretty good statement.
Yeah, and SuperValue, they're the large grocery retail chain, Albertsons, Jewel, Osco,
Okay.
Cub, all of those, and they're going through pretty radical change, and Yammer is definitely helping that change within their organization. And so I actually got to work with Craig personally and have been training not only his executive staff and his senior leaders, but also the people at the bottom and everybody kind of in between. And so it's been really great because store directors from the West Coast and East Coast are able to connect on a similar platform for the first time in the company's, I think, 120-year-old history, and share ideas and best practices and things that they've never had an opportunity to do before. So it's really exciting, and they're definitely making changes within their business based on the things that they're sharing and the things that they're finding out as well. So it's pretty exciting. So next time you go to an Albertsons or a Cub store, definitely think about, oh, they're using Yammer too. So it's pretty great.
That is pretty good. Hey, Allison, can I have you lower your mic just a little bit?
Absolutely.
No, not the volume, the position.
Oh.
Lower it just a little towards your chin. Yeah, okay. We're getting all those. Remember those peepops?
Oh yeah.
Plosives, gotta love them. Anyway, okay, good. So that is fascinating. I like the idea of Yammer, and I was looking at it going, maybe we should do that because it's hard to sometimes collaborate with people. We don't have something like, a lot of people use Same Time, but that's different. That's really just more messaging. Mm-hmm. But this gives you, now, when if you're on Yammer like that, and you have a group on Yammer, how does that work? Do they get notified when somebody's, I guess, sending a message out to them, or you just stay open in the browser, right?
Yeah.
Or desktop.
Yep. There is a browser version, there's desktop, and we also have the mobile apps as well. So yeah, and unlike Facebook where there are Facebook groups, groups are really a key piece in Yammer. It's kind of where people go to get work done, and kind of people have groups around projects, around subjects, or that they're interested in. Like for example, yesterday I was actually working with a hospital in Dallas, and they had a group, an interest group called Families with Special Needs Children. So regardless of where the employees sat in the organization at the hospital, they could join this group and talk about something that was of commonality. While it might not be directly work related, it's very key to keep that employee engagement up as well. You can also have groups for example training classes or programs or onboarding or other things as well. And groups can be public or private. They're pretty robust, actually. So it's a really great way to collaborate and connect. For me, going back to email would be like asking me to change back to the phone I used when cell phones first came out.
Wow, so it's pretty different.
Yeah, it's really different, and it definitely revolutionizes the way you get work done, I would say, for sure. Goes a lot faster.
So what were some of the things that happened in your previous company that didn't make it work?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things was, even though we had received sign-off from legal and some of the different executive team, and what we didn't have was the right executive sponsors, and it was mostly driven by IT. And so kind of what we have learned from there and just really encourage our customers is you definitely need IT support, and you need IT's blessing for any tool that you're going to implement. However, it can't be led by IT. And this was the case. I sat in IT. We were rolling out SAP. We needed a platform to connect with the IT organization. And so it was too much IT talk. And so they said, this isn't relevant. we need to get rid of this. So there's actually been a couple of mimmerings of it coming back to life. So we'll see, because they definitely would need it. My husband actually still works for them, so I hear all about what's going on with their communication challenges as well. So
interesting.
Yeah.
That's really typical. A lot of times, if IT is spearheading something, it doesn't mean much. IT controls the pipes, but that doesn't mean anybody else is going to buy into it.
Absolutely. And, if somebody goes in and into their Yammer network and all it is IT jargon and IT things, they're probably not going to come back.
Right.
So if you do have Yammer and you're using Yammer and it is an IT party, tell them to go in a group and take that conversation elsewhere. That's great conversation, but tell them to take it elsewhere in a group and have that conversation there instead of mudding up the main feed for that. So
that's interesting. How hard is it to implement when you get a team going? Is it better for a smaller team, or it looks like it works for a whole organization?
We have companies with 5 people that use it, and we have companies with 80,000 people on it.
Okay.
So it definitely ranges. And Yammer is actually free. You can start a network at any time just going by yammer.com, and it's based off of your email domain.
So it's always free?
It's free, and then if you want to upgrade for more file space or other additional features, integrations that we have with your existing systems, that's where the cost comes in, as well as services and things like that. So,
Sounds good. Hey, Coline, what's going on with the chat room?
Well, we have the usual attendees. We have Leva and we have Jeff so far. I'm also monitoring the hashtag, and there's not a whole lot of activity as yet or any questions for Allison right now.
Okay.
Still quiet. It's early morning.
Yeah.
So Allison, when you implement, you're involved in the training side of Yammer, do you teach your clients how to use Yammer, or do you teach them what to do with Yammer?
Yeah. So it kind of depends. I've been in organizations where I say, who has used Facebook? And people look at me with blank stares, and they've never even logged into Facebook. And so, we've definitely got a bigger learning curve there. Or they are avid Facebook and Twitter users, and the conversation is a little bit different. But it's definitely a mix of both. Yammer is very easy to use. So when I'm training, it's more or less about the business context of when they should use it, how they should use it, and kind of why they should be using it versus, or how it compares with the other tools that they're using. So, why would I use Yammer when I have email or instant messaging or the other or a telephone or the other tools? So kind of walking through that is good as well.
So essentially, you're connecting the use of Yammer with their specific business objectives, demonstrating how it makes sense for them to move forward with Yammer or a Yammer initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really what we do is, what I like to do is work with a specific team. So, for example, yesterday I was with a team of nurses, and very, very specific to their need and their use of Yammer. And these were actually residency nurses. And so what we were talking about was this was a new program. How could they, as these brand new nurses, use this to facilitate conversations and feel like they're connected to the organization, because majority of these new nurses were actually on night shift. So they didn't get to interact with a lot of the day shift nurses who are their mentors and the leaders in this organization. They are on night shifts, and so they don't get to see that. So they're going to start to use this way to kind of connect each other as well.
Sounds good. Now that's a good time to put up another video. Here's the getting. You have another
before
question, Coline?
Before we go, now Jeff is asking a question, which I think I know the answer to, but I'll let Allison handle it because she's probably better at it than I would. He's saying, how do you sell this to a company, and where does Yammer sit on your server or the company that's using it?
So Yammer is cloud-based, so you do not have any infrastructure. Everything's in the cloud. And how do you sell this to your company? Just like you're selling any business initiative, you have to figure out business impact, and you really need to build the case. We actually have a lot of different customers using Yammer, so maybe your competitors using Yammer, or maybe a similar person in your industry is using Yammer. That is usually a pretty quick driver. The other thing that's actually starting to happen that's really interesting is that C-level executives will talk at a conference, or other people will talk at a conference, and it will be brought up, and then it will magically show up in your organization the next day, because anybody can start a Yammer network just by going to yammer.com. So,
and I know, I think you guys have offices or people out there in Australia, which is where Jeff is from. So maybe you have clients out there who've taken it organization-wide, and you can probably give him some idea if you can.
Absolutely. Jeff, we actually have an incredible team out in Australia. They're in Melbourne and Sydney, and we just had a big Yammer on tour in Australia, I think about 2 weeks ago, and we had an incredible response from the Australians. They were just amazing. You guys really showed up. Jeff, I would actually check out our Yammer blog, because the latest post is actually a recap of the Australian Yammer on tour, and we've got a customer panel, some pretty big names there that I think you would recognize, and then also just the keynote and specific to the Yammer on Tour Australia. But we've definitely have an APAC presence, and they're definitely going to be expanding the reach within the year as well.
And I've actually been showing some of the blogs that you've written. And they can get to the blogs from your main page?
No, I think so. I always just go to blog.yammer.com. I think
blog.yammer.com. Okay.
I think that'll get you there. Yep.
Okay, and that's blog.yammer.com.
Great. And before we segue into that video, Rick, Leva has a question. Leva's in Belgium, by the way, Allison, and she's actually a professor at a university, so she's involved with a lot of technology and whatnot. And she would like to know, how do you convince people that are really tech averse or tech afraid?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really interesting. Some of the organizations that I get to work with are very, let's say, usually very slow to adapting new technology. And because Yammer is so easy to use, people really do get it a lot quicker than they do other technology. The other thing is that if they are very tech afraid, a couple of our different organizations have actually done reverse mentoring, or they call it like I think it's like the digital dinosaur, and they reverse mentor digital dinosaurs and kind of help people who are afraid, and then pair them up with people who, like myself, who is a social cheerleader. I love social. I love everything about it. But I know that's not like everyone is. And a lot of times, what you'll hear when people are afraid, and kind of the questions that I ask when I do training is, what's the thing that you want to know most, or what's holding you back? And a lot of times it's just people just don't know what they don't know. And so they're afraid, either is this secure, how is this security-wise, even though they might not have anything to do with the security at your company, they just might not understand, if I post something, where is this going? Who's going to see it, especially when you have larger organizations. So being able to kind of coach them along goes a long way.
Good.
Also, I would challenge everybody to really think on the other side of social, is that what happens when you're not doing social, and kind of what are the costs and the impacts that happens, not just with Yammer, but social in general, of not doing social. So going the other way around.
So Allison, once people kind of get the hang of it and they realize that it is a way to keep more connected and stuff, do they really jump to it? Do you see a difference where all of a sudden they are really communicating a lot more within groups, teams, or even globally within a company?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We've had some really incredible stories where you have a first-year employee or first-year associate kind of speak up on Yammer. And one of them, it was actually a guy in Australia, was the company was TK, and they're a freight company. And he basically, and they're based in, I believe, Seattle or Washington or somewhere in the West Coast. And he basically spoke up on Yammer, and within 2 weeks they flew him out to headquarters, and he got to meet the CEO for something that he had said and kind of mentioned or thrown out on the Yammer feed of something that he agreed, disagreed with, and what his thoughts were. And so it was just really incredible because, one, he got exposure to the executives, and two, the executives got exposure to what people were actually saying. The other thing that I always think is really interesting, especially when people start to fear it, is these conversations are already happening in your organization, but you might not be doing anything to capture them. They're happening at the coffee, they're happening at water cooler, they're happening at the bar after hours. And so, executives are like, well, what if somebody says something, that we don't like? But a lot of people could be saying that outside of work, and you have no idea, and you can't do anything about it. And so I think that's what this story actually was, is they had implemented a policy. He spoke up and said, this doesn't really make sense, and here's why, or here's, something that I think, and they flew him out, worked together, and kind of adjust the policy that they were about to roll out. So it was pretty incredible. Whereas if they didn't have a tool like that, he could have gone off, snickered to someone else, kind of developed this, bitterness towards the organization, and not really embrace the change, and the executive team would have never known that their policy didn't work out and wasn't loved by everyone. So
Interesting. Well, here's a video on getting started. So here we go.
Yammer is a private, secure social network for your company. No matter what type of business you're in, Yammer lets you connect with your coworkers to collaborate, share ideas, and be more productive. It's free and easy to get started. Just sign up with your company email address, and we'll send you an email confirmation. Only employees with a valid company email address can access your company's Yammer network. Now, let's take a look. It all starts with the feed. This is where you can post updates, ask questions, share news, links, and files, and get feedback on what you're working on. Everyone in your Yammer network also has a profile page where you can find updates, expertise, and contact information. Working on a team project? Yammer provides workspaces where you can easily collaborate on projects, like an upcoming product launch or a user conference, and take only seconds to create. It's a great place to keep team files and other information. While Yammer is easy to use, it's also enterprise-grade software with advanced administrative settings to manage your network. Yammer is available for the web, desktop, tablet, and smartphone, so you can stay connected in real time no matter where you are. Get started now for free at yammer.com.
I love that video. That's really cool. Did you do that video, by the way?
no way. I wish.
Never know.
Yeah. No.
I like that. I was watching that last night going, this is pretty cool. And I didn't realize it ran on all the different devices and desktops. So that's interesting. Yeah, I think I'm going to be signing up pretty soon.
For organization, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's really great on the mobile devices if you travel a lot, or for executives that spend a lot of time in airports or taxis or other things like that. It's really, really key. You can catch up a lot faster when you're away from the office on 100 yams versus 100 emails.
So they call them yams?
Oh, yeah.
That's cute.
So for organizations that are regulated, like healthcare and probably banking, etc., what kind of resistance do you get? Because I know there are some organizations where the lower level employees, they're really interested in implementing a tool like Yammer, and it's really difficult to sell to the C-suite because the C-suite believe there's a security issue, they're going to be falling out of some sort of federal compliance, etc. How do you convince them that of course, that one, it does satisfy some sort of a genuine business objective, but that it's also going to be secure as well.
Absolutely. One of the great things is we have customers in those different industries. So usually what we'll do is we'll connect customers with each other. We also have something that is called the Yammer Customer Network, where it's a Yammer network of all of our customers. So a lot of times if they do have fear or something like that, they'll work together that way and kind of share experiences. The other thing is we have something called something in our organization called solutions engineers, and they work very closely with the security teams at the different organizations, kind of going through their checklist to make sure everything's on par and we're compliant with their needs. So it's a pretty thorough process, especially when IT and the organization starts to evaluate. Definitely very thorough. And then also, too, there is an ability to have a usage policy when you sign in to Yammer as a paying customer. And a lot of times the healthcare organizations or the regulated industries who have like union or non-union workers, they have to be very clear about the use of Yammer, of whether they can use it outside of work hours, what types of information they can share. Obviously, healthcare, they can't share patient information, and that's pretty known. However, just reiterating that and making people accept that will go a long way. So yeah, it's definitely baby steps, because people are very, people do have that fear, especially in the regulated industries, but we've got a lot of great customers we can connect them with. So that's one way to kind of ease their fear with us stepping out of the conversation.
That's cool. Now here's a little video. This is the last video we've got, and this is kind of a marketing video, the cool, slick. It's very short, but it's really cute. So here we go.
Yeah.
I think that's cute. Actually, you've got almost 5 million users?
Yeah, almost. We're climbing fast.
That's pretty good.
So,
that is pretty good. Now, I'm typical. I didn't know about Yammer. I knew what I heard the name Yammer, but I had no idea what it was. I go, now what's Yammer? Okay, and I'm looking at it just actually last night. I was going, this is actually really cool. There's some really neat stuff in it. How much do you find people know about Yammer?
Definitely, the awareness is definitely increasing. We have some pretty incredible customers who are just, ready and able to speak about the benefits that they've received. So that's been very exciting. We've also had some pretty high-profile press about, Zynga just went IPO, Yelp just went, all these startups are going IPO. Facebook obviously is headed towards that direction. So we're definitely in the press a lot about that as well. And also, too, our CEO has been on many different Fox and Time. I think he just was in Time magazine. I could just be making that up. I thought I saw that. Wall Street Journal has done quite a few articles as well. Okay. So now, it's pretty exciting.
What's his name?
David Sachs.
David Sachs.
And he was actually the COO of PayPal when PayPal kind of went through that phase to eBay. So he's part of the PayPal mafia and pretty incredible guy. Very, very intelligent. very smart, knows what he's going.
And lots of internet experience.
Yes, lots of internet experience, and really the kind of where Yammer came from was he was actually the founder of a company called Genie, the genealogy website.
Yeah.
And and it was actually based in LA, and they were working on this and building out this website, and him and our Yammer's current CTO were just like, why is it that the tools that we use at home so much faster and better and easier to use than the tools that we use at work? And email just wasn't fast enough for them to get their website up and going. So that's kind of where Yammer has spun out, and it's definitely gone through multiple variations of what it looks and feels like. But it's pretty incredible because it was, why are the tools that we use at work so much slower and not as user friendly as the ones that we do at home? So that's kind of where it came from. So. And it's really incredible. We use our product every day, all day long for just about everything. And so unlike other times when you have a product and you don't get to use it and feel it and touch it and use it all the time, we definitely drink our own champagne in that aspect.
Now, how would you use Yammer in, let's say, a learning or e-learning environment and a project management environment? I'm real curious about those two particular uses.
Absolutely. So I'll start off a little bit about the training and learning environment. So we actually have what's called external networks, and they're kind of a similar. They look and feel just like your internal network, but they're kind of outside, and you can invite whoever you want to this, regardless of their email domain. But we actually have one that's called Yammerific for our internal Yammer training, and what happens is even before you start Yammer, you're entered into this external network, and you're given learning opportunities, whether it's e-learning that we've kind of connected. The trainer will ask questions of the new associates, and all the training is done throughout this Yammerific. There's different groups that they can join. They have groups called Smorgasbord, and it's SME, and they have recorded videos of our CTO and our product managers and the different security engineers, and the new employees can ask questions and have that dialogue within that conversation, and it's pretty incredible. And then there's also book clubs that they can that we do on there as well. And so, for example, we actually just rolled out a training program, pretty small, pretty quick to do to bring to life, but about selling services, because this is something that's pretty new for our organization, especially for some parts of the sales force. And so what we did was we actually created a group about selling services within this Yammerific, and what we did was we had videos, we had FAQs, we had files, and then what we also did was we had questions that we took 5 or 10 minutes during the actual training session for them to jump into Yammer and kind of think out their thoughts and respond and to have that dialogue around it as well. I would love to show you that. If we've got time, or if you want to see that, but that's something that's really great, is weaving Yammer into your existing training programs that you're doing, and thinking about the activities that you coordinate during an instructor-led training, of what they could be doing also online to capture for the next class. We also have e-learning, I think, is probably about 50 to 70% of our onboarding of our whole week. And what the e-learning will do is it'll give the learner some information, and then after it will actually ask them to do a task, and they'll have to use Yammer to complete the task. So whether it's finding something, kind of like a scavenger hunt, or searching for something, or creating something, it's pretty incredible. One of the things that is that completely changes the way that I think training people will look at this is we have something called a Yammer page, and it's actually very similar to a Google Doc or Wiki type thing, and it's really incredible to have your learners basically write their own instructions or write their own FAQ or write their own whatever, support material. You can kind of help and structure it, but it's really great. You can invite people to the page. Up to 12 people can contribute at a time, and it's pretty incredible the ways that you can introduce pages within your different training programs. So, yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Boy, you could be a VP
question.
of sales. You're good.
I know, see, but I'm just like a cheerleader. I'm like, yeah. So
No, I'm sold. We're going to be signing up. Colleen, we signing up?
I already use Yammerific.
Oh, do you really?
I've been using it for over a year. Yeah.
So, see, you've kept it away from me. See, that's how you are, I tell you. Actually, that's interesting. I think we are going to get into that. That sounds...
It's pretty cool.
And when you started talking about videos, how you can add also... So it's a great way to keep information within a company. In other words, or disseminate information where a lot of times we'll have talks, like maybe Coline and I will talk about something like, hey, this is what we need to do for our client. We need to do these kind of interfaces. But you could also standardize some of that, and so other groups or other people within the organization can share the same information. Or let's say somebody discovers a tip or trick on, let's say, use Adobe Captivate or Lectora or Articulate, whatever you're using. You could share that real quickly with the team. Say, hey, if you need to do this, here's a way to do that. Or like you said, create a quick video.
Yeah, and the cool thing is you have your iPhone app, because I don't know if you can see my screen, but there's my app on my phone right there. So, I've been using it for over a year. And another cool thing that Yammer allows, and I know Allison probably can talk a little bit more about this, is the groups. So the external groups, like the instructional design group that's going on with ASTD that you're collaborating with them on. And I believe there's another group that I belong to. That's the social community with Jane Hart over in the UK.
So these are external groups that tie into your internal group?
They don't necessarily tie in, but they use your same email, but they're invite only. You're not going to just be able to find it on Google or anything like that. So, for example, you could create your own internal. So anybody with I'm going to just make it up, the rick@relatecourt.com. But if you wanted to have somebody and collaborate with someone outside of that, you could create an external network. ASTD is actually one of our customers, and ASTD uses Yammer internally, but they have also just launched the Instructional Designers Network as well. We launched it at Tech Knowledge in Las Vegas a couple months ago, and it's been really incredible, the conversations that are happening, because they're just that, Rick. They are tips about how to use Adobe or VoiceOver or where to get talent.
That's
or
great.
It's been really incredible because people will have Twitter, and that's fine too, but maybe they want more of a conversation or a longer conversation, and then it's just been really in this network especially. I have already gained professional development just by being a part of it as well. So it's a great community of practice, as well as Jane Hart's network too. They focus on more of the social aspect and do that as well. So I can definitely share the links for those. So then that way anybody on the chat can also find that as well.
That sounds great.
It's a really great resource, absolutely.
And Coline, any other questions in the chat room? Because we're going to have to wrap this up in a couple minutes.
We did have a question from Jeff, which was essentially, who holds the strings, who controls the strings within an organization. So, for example, if you, Rick, wanted to have a Yammer account and include Jeff and I as external consultants, who would hold the strings and who would shut it down, who would give access? So I think pretty much Allison answered those questions when she talked about the external network, etc. unless she wants to,
Well, it also sounds like there's a ton of controls. I was watching one of the videos, and you have a lot of administrative control, which is pretty key, especially if you don't want certain things getting out or whatever like that. But now I can really see the benefits just from listening to you today and watching the videos and everything. It sounds like a really cool solution.
It's great for collaborating. It's fantastic for collaborating.
Now, Coline, were you using that with internal and external clients?
Diane and I use it between each other, and we also use it. The benefit we get out of it is through the ISD group and through the social group with Jane Hart.
That's great.
So I mean, it's something you and I could definitely talk about some more, Rick, because I can see how we can use it on our project.
It's just a really nice way to collaborate, get together, and you're right. Email doesn't always work. It just takes a little longer.
It does, or you forget to CC someone, or if somebody new joins, then you got to go back through, and you're not really going to email them all the work. Before we wrap up, just one quick one on project management. How do you see that working really well if you're doing a project between people? Yeah, absolutely. So I don't even know how we did projects before Yammer, but we are actually rolling out a certification program. So I am working with some key people very, very closely, and we've got a group for each of the different kind of modules or pods of the project, phases of the project per se, and I invite different people into the group. I can mention them similar to how you do in Twitter. Those pages are key. You can upload files, you can add new versions, and you can also have conversations about the file. So I could upload a document and I could say, this is the final copy, send it to the customer, we're waiting for review, things like that. Those conversations that happen around the file that give it that context definitely will happen very, very easily in Yammer as well. There's also, a very simple polling feature and an events feature that you can do as well that's pretty good for project management, so you can kind of gauge what your team is feeling, if you're trying to move a different way or adjusting where the next step is. So that's pretty key as well. But between the pages and files and the conversations, you're pretty set. And I think we actually do have a video about specifically how to use Yammer for project management, so I'll make sure I'll get that to you as well.
That sounds great. Hey, maybe you could tweet it on Twitter.
Yeah, I will definitely.
Add the eLearnChat tag and we'll all find it.
Okay.
That sounds cool.
Good.
Yeah, and for those who are viewing live and for anyone who's watching the recorded session, if you go to the Yammer website, there is a wealth of information that's available out there. There are blogs, there's case studies, there are customer testimonials, and you can find and pretty much get answers to any questions that we haven't touched here today, or even help you or be able to develop a case where you can sell Yammer as a tool in your organization. So definitely check out their website.
That's great. And Allison, we'd love to have you back on. Tell us more about what you're doing in the future. And if you guys have any rollouts or anything and you want to share with us, we've got an open invite.
Great, excellent. Well, it was great to be here. Really excited. As you can tell, I'm super passionate about social and everything it comes to.
I don't know, Allison. You seem like you have a really dead personality. I don't know.
So, thanks for having me, and we'll talk soon.
All right, you guys have a great one, and everyone in the chat room or watching the video recording, thank you for being here, and we will see you next week on eLearnChat. Bye, Coline. Bye, Allison.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Jeff and Leva.